Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
The Bears.
Because of the way they play the nickel corner here, and the nickel corner plays 88-85% of the snaps. He's got to be like part linebacker.
The Bears.
When you're in a scouting room, there's going to be differences of opinion.
The Bears.
Once coaches get involved, of course, they've got their own opinions about what fits best for what they want to do, and that could be drastically different than what the scouts say.
Well, you're looking at traits, and remember when he tested very, very well.
The Bears.
One thing good about Kevin, he's been with 2 other organizations, as well as being the commissioner of the Big Ten. He's been around.
The Bears.
With Greg Olson, Jerry didn't want to get rid of him. I didn't want to get rid of him. Nobody wanted to get rid of him. One guy wanted to get rid of him, Mike Martz, because Mike Martz didn't know what the hell to do with him. We tried to talk Lovey out of hiring Mike Martz for a month and a half. He's playing zone, but number one, he doesn't get enough depth with the drop. But who the hell's going? How many times does a 305, 310-pound defensive tackle drop into coverage, especially in a key situation?
The Bears.
Greg, why are teams wrong on quarterback evaluation so often?
Number one, it's a hard position to evaluate. There's probably not as many real good quarterback evaluators as there needs to be.
The Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
Welcome, everyone, to a fresh edition of GTF, Gabriel Talks Football. My name is Aldo Gandia. We got a great show ahead. Quick programming note. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central is the real Buffon 55 season finale. We were supposed to have it last week, but we had to push it back to this week. John is going to take Alyssa and Danny Shimon through the entire season, get their thoughts of what happened and what's ahead. I know Danny is anxious to talk about what he saw at the Senior Bowl. He'll have some tape to share as well. Then on Wednesday, it's Bare Their Souls. The guys are back for some hilarity and football talk. And so that's Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. The rest of the week, we'll let you know. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel, Barroom Network. Subscribe to the X account at Barroom Network. We'll keep you fully posted on everything. Let's get to the show. Our man, Greg Gabriel, is now on camera. There he is, Greg. How are you, my friend?
Doing wonderful. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Woke up tired this morning, and then I realized, you know what? I'm 67 years old, coming off my second stroke. Might be having a third stroke right now. So, for given all those circumstances, I feel pretty good. All right. So, Greg, this morning, I checked my inbox, and you sent me the following. You claim I'm barking at nothing, yet we haven't had a single intruder. Do the math, Greg. Bennett actually letting you know to let him bark.
That's right. I saw that. I found that Saturday. I thought it was hilarious because it just fit him to a T.
Yeah, and it even looks like him.
No, he's not. He's not as hairy as that. But yeah. There's similarities.
Yeah, there's the real Bennett.
Yep.
I love that dog. He's so awesome looking.
He stands in this time of the year. Mm-hmm. He stands or sleeps in front of that fire like 10, 12 hours a day.
Is that right? Wow.
Oh, he just loves it.
Good for him. All right. I know a lot of you are going to have comments. If you would like me to ask Greg something, thank you, Kay. If you'd like me to ask something to Greg, please try to put at Barroom Network or just Barroom, and that'll help me spot it. I'm not at 100% yet, so anything you can do to help me out would be great. And Greg.
You know where I want to start, because there's some people saying that I said certain things about Ian that I never said. They misconstrued what I said.
Okay.
And those fools over at Sports Mockery got it wrong, but that's not odd for them to get anything wrong. What I said was the picks are determined. Compensatory picks are determined by what's in the contract. Okay. And the contract, when Ian went down there, the guy who controlled the roster, the main executive, was Matt. Okay. Now, could some of that have changed hands in the course of discussion while they were negotiating? In other words, if you want me, I got to have this, this, and this. And wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
Right.
And so I said, until we know that, nobody can make a blanket statement and say they are getting compensatory picks.
Right.
Now, I had a text conversation with Courtney Cronin.
Yes.
And, I could read it to you if I wanted, but, I said, hey, I'm not saying this is final yet because, and then she right away said, you might have something there, but she called the league office. The league office said she claims that they said there's no compensatory picks.
Okay.
I'm still not 100% sold on that. And not that I'm being bullheaded or anything, is that, first of all, they never put that out. How am I going to put this? Nobody ever puts out an announcement that we got X.
Yeah.
Something like that. All of a sudden, next month comes and the league puts out the list of compensatory picks.
Right. In early March, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometime in March. Sometime between the first week in March and when the owners' meetings happen in the last week in March. So that's when you're going to find out if there's any compensatory picks. There's never an announcement.
Yeah, right.
But again, people are, when you look at the move, if he doesn't have the control that he should have as a GM, then he's not a real GM.
Yeah, it's more like a lateral move.
Yeah, he's got a title. He's probably got a lot more money.
Yeah,
but he's not in the same, say, area as Ryan Poles.
Right. So both Courtney and Brad Biggs, two Bears beat reporters that we respect highly, have said no comp picks. And I just sent out an X post to Brad, who always asks for questions for his Q&A column. And I told him, are you absolutely sure about this? Because at Matt Ryan's introductory press conference, Matt and Arthur Blank, the team owner, said the GM will have full control of the team. Matt is there as an advisor. He's not going to make these decisions. And Matt said it first, and then Blank concurred. So this is a little odd here. You're telling the team is telling us.
And it'll be interesting too. They haven't had a presser yet with Ian down there.
Right.
When they do,
that question is going to come up.
That'll be a very interesting thing to say. Now, the other thing that's kind of crazy, and you would think the people in Atlanta would know this, meaning fans. I keep getting comments and questions on X from them. They go, "We're not giving up any picks for you," and I go, "You never were." They're comp picks. They're bonus picks.
Exactly. They don't understand that. That's ridiculous.
They had Fontenot for the last 4 years as their GM. They got him from New Orleans. New Orleans got comp picks for that.
Yeah.
See, which is another reason. If he's got everything Fontenot got, and New Orleans got picks for Fontenot, why wouldn't the Bears get picks for Cunningham? You follow what I'm saying on that?
Absolutely do.
So it's really going to be interesting how this is addressed. And like I say, it gets down to what is written in the contract, and that gets sent into the league. It gets approved. What happens is it gets sent into the league. The management council gets it. They review it. If there's something they don't like on it, they can send it back and say, you got to fix this, this, and this. Same thing with signing a player. And then, the commissioner signs it, so you get a document with his autograph on it, if that means anything. And then,
it certifies it.
Yeah. I mean, I've somewhere around here, I've got about 8 of those with commissioner signatures on them for the different contracts I've signed. But it's
pretty cool.
It's just, a matter of happenstance as far as what happens, the protocol that you have to go through, and then when things become official, when they're not official. My antenna's up. I'm not, could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong, but
Sure.
I'm not wrong on stating that it's what's in the contract. I'm 100% correct on that.
Yeah, I believe you. I think you're making great points, and I want your reaction to people, mostly Bears fans, who are saying, if we're not going to get complex, then why would Ryan Poles agree to let Ian go?
And that's a good question. But I think you got to, it's your best friend, your close friend. He's helped you out. It's a better opportunity for him. Let's say he doesn't have the controls that he should have. That doesn't mean a year or two from now he's not going to have that control.
Yeah.
Because things change in the course. I'll give you an example. GM down in Tampa, and Lovey actually hired him. Lovey had the control. Lovey gets fired, 2 years later? And then it went over to the GM. All that, the control. So, I mean, it can happen. Organzi in Tennessee last year did not have it a year ago now when he got the job, but he did have it right after the draft.
Oh, okay. So that makes a lot more sense. That adds more fuel to the argument.
But the thing
letting
is,
them go,
if you're getting it 6 months later, that's not going to help the Bears.
Right. Absolutely. But yeah, I am of the opinion that you absolutely have to let him go, because if you don't, other assistant general managers are going to say, or if they're applying to replace Ian Cunningham, they're going to say, well, what about me? And what if I get a move like that and I want to leave? You're going to deny me that? And you can't go there. I mean, he did it for Justin Fields. He sent him to Pittsburgh, and allegedly he said no to higher draft picks because he wanted to give Justin his wish to go to Pittsburgh.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, being a good guy is not a bad business move in most cases.
No, I get where some fans are coming from, but they're not running a football team.
Yep.
It's a relationship business, and relationships count.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were talking with Rick Smith last week, you were talking about, when I was with the Giants, I was brought up in the fact that you kind of treat the agent as the enemy. He's your adversary.
Mm-hmm.
And I come here, and it was like we had an entirely different philosophy. No, he's not. You put your arm around him, he's your buddy, because he helps you get things done.
Yeah. There you go. That's a great point. What do you think about?
You don't want an adversarial relationship,
right? Absolutely. What do you think about what Chief Laredo, also known as Levante, says? Jeff King will be the next assistant general manager, or maybe even Matt Feinstein.
Not Feinstein. Feinstein is a
bean counter
cap guy. Jeff could. I mean, we could bring Rick Smith back on and say, "Hey, Rick, how about this?" Because he's King's agent.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, remember, we go back to the Ben Johnson thing. The guy who was like the go-between between the Bears and the agent was King.
Oh, okay.
Because they got a relationship going back to when he was a player in college.
Yeah. I would agree with Levante that it seems like King is in line for that promotion.
I would think so, but I'm not going to guess or speculate or anything like that. When it happens, when and if it happens, it happens. It's now the other thing we want to talk about is losing Declan Doyle. If you go back to what Ben said in the postseason presser a couple weeks ago, he said, "Hey, I'm happy for these guys. I'm going to help these guys." Mm-hmm. So Declan withdraws himself from consideration at Philly. A lot of times you do that when you know you're not going to get the job because it saves you some face. But then he turns around and gets the full OC job in Baltimore, and he's going to be play caller. Now, I look at OCs that aren't play callers are GMs that don't have control of the roster. You're not a real OC.
Interesting. Okay.
The OC, and Rick said it last week when he was on here. Well, Rick's the head coach and he's the offensive coordinator. The real offensive coordinator is Ben Johnson. It's his offense. He runs the offense. He calls the plays.
For sure.
Okay. The OC is like the liaison between the head coach, the rest of and the offensive coaching staff. And, he's doing what the head coach wants. And that's the same thing in like Denver with Sean Payton. Any coach that calls plays for his team, be it an offense or a defensive coach, that guy's the real offensive coordinator or the real defensive coordinator. Robert Saleh just took the job in Tennessee. I'm calling plays. Fine. He's the DC.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously, guys like Doyle when he was with the Bears and other examples that you just gave, they have integral roles in the preparation for the team. Yeah. It's a lot more than some people in the chat are saying. He's just cutting tape and he's doing a lot more.
Okay, I'll give you a great example. So they're during the offseason, from this time right up until really they started the off-season program, they're putting the offense together in a book, to give the players. Now it's all on computer.
Right.
But there can be situations where, Declan was with Sean Payton. Sean Payton's a pretty damn good offensive coach. And there's certain plays or reasons for certain plays that Sean had those. And, of course, he'd bring them up.
Yeah.
And he can be a value of that. Now, but he's still not the guy who's really designing the offense like most offensive coordinators are. It'll be interesting to see what he takes to Baltimore. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Is he going to take Ben's offense? Is he going to take Sean's offense? A combination of the two. My feeling is it's probably a combination of the two. That's going to be his feeling of what how an offense should be run.
Yep. They're going to have a great running game, I bet you.
Yep.
I bet you they're going to have a real fantasy football.
That guy's not getting any younger, though.
Yeah.
How old is Henry going to be this year? 31 or 32?
32, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's he's a freak of nature right now to be able to do what he does at that age.
Kay says, I'm guessing Declan designed a few plays in Chicago. I think all of the offensive coaches had a role in suggesting plays and helping to design plays and so forth. But Declan probably more than the others. And
that's a good point, too, because you make up and you listen to him during the press conference after the fact, like after a game or something. Yeah, we just installed that this week.
Right.
Okay, so based on what you see on tape, you can add stuff. It might have the same play call as another call, but you're making variations in that particular play.
Okay, right.
Okay, and that's what you install. So instead of, your Z receiver doing one thing, he's doing another thing as far as the route concept or whatever. And that stuff can change literally from week to week, depending on what type of defensive scheme you're playing, because you're trying to attack. The whole purpose is try to attack the defense
and matchups, right?
Right, absolutely. So you can make little adjustments each week, make blocking adjustments or whatever, and make up new plays based on how you see a team cover in certain situations. You say, you know what, this might work against them on 3rd and 8, and go with that. So it's always very fluid and ongoing during the course of a week.
Right. About 10 days ago, it was announced that Will Loing, thank you for that, Chief Latero and J2K for bringing it up. Will Loring, the was then offensive coordinator of Boston College, was hired, but no title was given to him. I'm assuming
there's been no announcement yet either.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I'm assuming that they're just waiting to see, if Declan was going to leave, if Eric was going to leave, and that they would slot him into one of those positions, because it seems like the guy has a wealth of experience and
Yes.
Ben knows him well. So he could probably be the offensive coordinator, you think, right?
He could. The one thing I'm not going to do is try to speculate on that.
I hear you. I appreciate that.
And I'll tell you why. First of all, last year, he got hired just over a year ago. He did a hell of a job putting together a staff. For a first-year coach, staff was outstanding. Mm-hmm. There was no real holes in that staff. Mm-hmm. And you can see, did he replace anybody? No, he lost 2 to promotions, but he hasn't let anybody go. And if he was going to, he would have already done it.
Probably.
So I have no worry whatsoever that he's going to bring in somebody that is as good or perhaps even better than Declan.
Yeah. I think it'll be hard to find somebody better than Declan because I have so much faith in the guy. But yeah, I agree with you. He's going to bring in somebody excellent. No doubt about it. And it's interesting what Ben said when he, in one of the press conferences, he says, well, when I first met Declan, after just a few minutes, he said, I said to myself,
that's me.
That's me. And you know what? That's not a bad thing. Yeah. I thought that was great. Somebody asked here a really great question. And let me find it so I can give the person proper credit. It's A10 Warthog. With Greg's experience with Jason McKee, could Jason be a good running backs coach?
Probably. In fact, Jason said, he said it to me a couple of times, and he said it on X more than once. He said he learned a lot from watching the enemy. Mm. And because he's on the
sidelines, right?
Yeah, the sideline reporter. He went to a lot of the practices until his own team. He's the head coach at Carmel Catholic.
Exactly.
And he's got a pretty good program there. Does he want to be a pro coach? I don't know.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And that's why Olin never got into it. It's kiss your family goodbye when training camp opens and say hello again the first of the year, because you just don't see them.
Right. We talked about that with Ben Johnson's agent last week.
Rich he goes, they wait till Friday afternoon, they get some downtime and then a little Saturday morning, and that's it.
Yeah, it was a great interview Greg had with Ben Johnson's agent. And if you have not heard that, you can find it on YouTube or on audio podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Just look for Gabriel Talks Football under the Barroom Network banner. Okay, let's get to another couple of questions here before we get to some other topics. We're already at questions about the Shrine Bowl game, so I'll throw this one at you. Creighton says, "Who was your highest rated prospect?"
I got to go through. What I do. Let me explain, because we'll have Galco on.
Yeah.
After the combine sometime.
And Mike Renner, right?
Mike Renner's coming on too, who also does some work for the Shrine Bowl. What we do, what I do, Eric or one of Eric's assistants will send him a list, maybe 4 or 5, maybe a total of a dozen guys.
Okay.
And, 4 at one position, 4 at another position. And we kind of rank them, grade them, rank them. And then the following week, we'll have a Zoom call and we talk about them. Okay. And try to, it's similar to a scouting meeting. You try to put on I might like somebody better, but if the consensus is that so-and-so is the best player, I'm not going to fight it. It's that's not the role I'm supposed to have. But I don't know who gets invited until the invitations go out and then the guys accept it. We have a list of who we want to invite, and then you invite guys and they don't come because they're either hurt or they'd rather go to the Senior Bowl. But I think, the roster this year was very, very good. I still have to look at the practice tape, which I said to Aldo before the show started, and I got all the practice tape. But I think last year there was 50-something guys drafted. It was the highest amount of guys drafted in years. We expect this year to be even better than that. And we'll see. Now, we had Flowers a couple years ago who went in the first round of the Ravens. He did not play in the game. He just practiced during the week. So, and that's one of the things Eric does really well with. There's a bunch of guys that come in and they practice and they interview, but then they don't play in the game.
Right.
And you see the same thing happen down at the Senior Bowl. Guys, they get done with the heavy practices and they say, see you later.
Right. Shedeur Sanders last year at the Shrine Bowl game.
He didn't even practice. He just interviewed.
He was
there to interview.
You think that hurt him?
I'm sorry?
Do you think that hurt him? Because he dropped a lot in the fifth round.
I don't think so. Whatever it was behind the scenes that hurt him, I don't have the faintest idea whether it was his dad or what. I don't know. And I know one thing, the coach they got at Cleveland, for as late as they got him, Todd Monken, that was a heck of a hire for them.
Yeah, he's going to do what he's going to work well with Sanders probably, right?
I would think so. I just, we talked about him last year that if they didn't get Ben Johnson, would he be the guy?
Right. And he would, I think there, a lot of Ravens fans have been critical of Monken, but every coach in every city it gets criticism from fans. I mean, the grass is always greener, right?
Perfect example. And I'm not criticizing the fans, but they just don't know. Mm-hmm. Okay, so example, and I do some stuff periodically for this Notre Dame website. I haven't done it in over a year, but I used to do it quite a bit. But I still got my subscription to it because they gave it to me. So they lose their defensive back coach, who was really a very, very good defensive back coach. He went to the Ravens as the DB coach and defensive passing game coordinator. Mm-hmm. So his name is Mickens. Played in the league, is a corner in the league, and is a real good corner coach. So anyway, they're trying to get a guy from Oklahoma who is the co-defensive coordinator. He ends up not taking the job and goes to, I think he's going to the Bills as their passing game coordinator and cornerback coach. So the guy they ended up hiring, and it's announced yesterday, is the Illinois DB coach who was also the coordinator at Illinois. Mm-hmm. So right away, the comments that they have. Well, my Illinois friends say he's terrible. Oh, okay. Well, let's, Illinois went 9-4, and this guy put 5 guys in the pros at the defensive back position in the last 5 years. That's pretty damn good coaching.
Damn good, indeed. Paul has an interesting question. Would it be a step down for NIU head coach Thomas Hammock, former Ravens running back coach, to accept a job back in the NFL as a running backs coach?
No.
Usually it's all about the money, right?
Well, he's NIU's not in the MAC anymore. They went to the Mountain West. Okay. I think this is the first year they're in the Mountain West. This coming year, 26. Okay. It's still a G5 program. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Head coach of a G5 versus a position coach in the NFL, I'll take the NFL.
Yeah, I would think so. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the All-Star games. I just want to tell our audience, but we're not going to get deep dives into players, because what we're going to do is, starting next week, we're going to take position by position. We'll start next week with defensive tackles. So any of you people who are on our YouTube chat room, if you have a defensive tackle that you'd like Greg to get some information on, to look at some tape, etc., let us know, and we'll do our best to do that. And I'll do the graphics and blah, blah, blah. What we're going to do today is talk more generally about how the scouting departments use the tape from these all-star games for their evaluation. But I do have one player that I don't want to get into specifics, but there's one particular defensive tackle that I'm highly intrigued by, and I'd like to get your thoughts on.
Okay.
This guy,
I think you're going to say Hill from Texas Tech, right?
No.
Okay.
I, that came up in the chat though. Caleb Banks from Florida.
Okay. Well,
this guy looks like the next coming of the Holy Spirit on some plays, and then looks like just any other guy other plays. What are your thoughts about him?
You know how many plays Caleb played all year? Played in 3 games, 96 snaps.
Why?
All year.
What happened? Was he hurt?
He was hurt.
Okay.
He missed the first game, played in the second game, was not very good in the second game. He played like 28 snaps in one game, 32 in another, 30 in another, something like that. I got the exact thing because on the tape I got, it shows how many snaps he played in each game. So he played in the second game, did not play again until the second last game, did not play in their bowl game. So their second last regular season game, and then their last regular season game, the last one was against Florida State. Never played more than 33 or 34 snaps in any of those 3 games. And actually, in those last 2 games, he played pretty good. He had 3 tackles apiece, no sacks. But you could see him, the athleticism, the strength. Now, I don't think what you saw at the Senior Bowl was a guy that hasn't played in a game since Thanksgiving weekend against Florida State. So he's been doing draft prep and stuff, and he's got himself probably in real good shape. Came in there, looked dynamite in the one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you go back and look at a statement Olin made during the week, and he said, if I'm trying to evaluate an offensive lineman, the last thing I'm going to do is watch the one-on-one pass block, pass rush.
I saw that.
And the reason being is it favors the defensive lineman, and is, it's a tough one for the offensive guys. You're looking for some rare traits. How quick does he come off the ball? Does he get low, or does he get stand straight up? Can he use his hands? What kind of raw natural power does he have? Mm-hmm. So you saw some things, and he was throwing people around like they were just little rag dolls.
Yes.
And so what you saw, what he looks like in tape, because I don't necessarily like the Florida scheme, is he is a little bigger, a little more athletic Gervon Dexter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's it's funny. A number of people in the chat have been bringing up Dexter's name in terms of his physical size and so forth.
He's a little bit taller, a little bit heavier, better athlete. I'm going to be. Gervon Dexter ran, if I recall, 4.89 at the combine. I'll be interested, and he was, I think, 3.15 at the combine. He's been playing at 3.20 something now. Be interesting to see what Banks runs, but Banks got great talent, so everybody's all excited, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got to get this guy in the top 15. That's not how it works. Okay, the bulk of his tape is 2024.
Okay.
Now I got a report somewhere, and I'd have to dig through. It'd take me a half hour to find it going through because I got over 400 reports. I wrote them during the summer.
Okay.
For one of the agents. I don't even remember what I gave him. I'd have to look.
Okay.
But I know that I didn't have a first round grade because that would have stuck in my head based on what he did in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
But what you saw at the Senior Bowl, I mean, that was a big flash. It jumped out. And the same thing with Hill. So, when Hill was, you're hearing, oh, look at the way he's killing people. Okay. So I went back, and I had not done him. So I watched 3 games. And he's a good player. But what you saw at the Senior Bowl, you did not see on tape at Texas Tech. Not even close.
Interesting.
Okay. But part of it is the way that they're being used within their scheme. What are they being asked to do? That type of thing. But what you see at an all-star game, again, is the raw natural traits. And you saw a lot of strength. You saw quickness. You saw a burst. Saw him run over a guy, explosiveness. All those are things that he's got to have. But when you put the game on and it's 11-11, he's not doing that same stuff.
Right.
And so it's you don't get over enthralled with what you see at an all-star game. We used to have a rule of thumb. I'm sure they still do. Don't kill a guy for a poor all-star game, but you can help a guy if he looks good. And part of the reason is, like Caleb Banks, some of these guys haven't played in 2 months. And so what were they doing? Now, going back, and when I first came into the league, they didn't have these camps that these guys were going to train for the combine. That's something that's more within the last 20 years. Okay. And, it costs the agents a bundle of money to do that, because they're sending them to a performance camp for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and they're doing nothing. By the way, the dog's barking. So,
well, of course he is. Look at that guy. I love him. So you said the agent sends them. So is the agent paying for that?
Yes.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Yes, that's coming out of the agent's pocket, and it's like that's why I do what I do. They want to figure out, okay, where do you think this guy is going to go?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I don't get character information. I can if I really want to work hard and make some calls, but just on the base thing, I'm just giving this is what he is. And because they want to know, well, if I sign this guy, how much money can I put into him? And one guy I talked to, he said, if he's a free agent, I don't want him because I can't make money. I'm going to lose money.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So let me ask you this, because you've taught us how important it is to gather that, character information during the scouting process. So does an agent go ahead and do that on his own, or does he bring in somebody else? Sometimes people hire a detective agency to look into players.
Teams do that.
Yeah. Okay.
The real good agents obviously got good connections. I mean, because they've got good players, so they've got good relationships with people, and they can make calls. They can call a GM and say, hey, I'm going to sign so-and-so. Is he okay? Or I got a chance to sign so-and-so. Is he okay? As far as his background and stuff. Some don't care because they're going to go high regardless. Okay. And, you could say like Drew Rosenhaus has Carter, and Carter had some issues, but he still went top 10.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, one more question regarding Caleb Banks, because Mr. Englewood said that Banks gets off the line of scrimmage late, just like Dexter. Is that a scheme thing, or do you think that both Dexter and Banks are just slow off the get-go?
I thought he got off the ball better than Javon did at Florida.
Okay.
And Florida does a lot of two-gapping, okay, which can contribute to that.
Yeah,
because they're coming up and they're kind of holding on to the linemen and controlling two gaps. That's why it's called two gap. And they're really trying to occupy blockers so that the linebackers can make the play.
Right.
Okay, where you've got a penetrating defense and the Bears do that, and they do it now, and they did it with Flus. Is you want to come off the ball and you're shooting a gap because you're trying to get into the backfield to disrupt the play. Okay, if you can gain ground, get a push, gain ground, and you're making the back change direction, that's taking the back some time to change direction. Now that split second that the back needs to change where he's going from point A to point B, then somebody else can make the play.
Sounds good. All right, good stuff. Got a few more questions here that are piling up, and we've got a couple more topics that we want. But I want to take care of a couple of these questions. Our good buddy Lutz, the reporter, has an interesting question. I'm actually anxious to hear your opinion on it. He asks, "What is your opinion of the best websites or whatever for reading off-season NFL articles? Is The Athletic any good?" I got a couple of opinions. What about you, Greg?
The Athletic is good for, The Athletic has like the beat writer or two beat writers for every team.
Yeah.
So, if you want to get, look up a certain team and read about it, but it's obviously like Kevin Fishbane and Dan Wiederer now. It was
Adam Johns.
Yeah, Adam Johns, and he left to go to CHGO. I think they do a pretty good job. How good the other team writers are, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I like the national writers. I use The Athletic for, guys like our buddy Dane Brugler. Because Dane is pretty good at what he does.
It's absolutely worth the price of the subscription, just what Dane does around draft time. It's
right.
Outstanding work.
And we've had Dane out 3 times, I think.
3, yes.
And we'll have him on again this year. But in fact, I gotta send him a note today, make sure that we get him reserved good, get him in advance.
Exactly.
Because he gets to be pretty popular.
Yeah.
He does a great job. But that's what I look for. And as far as, I just don't have time. I don't care what other teams' needs are and stuff like that. I got too much other stuff to do.
I'm with you, man.
So I just don't care.
Yeah.
I do look like in situations that it'll be interesting. I'm going to watch Minnesota for one reason. Well, the cap guy just took over as the interim GM. And he's been around. He's well known around the league. Brzezinski's been there forever. Good cap guy, but he's not a personnel guy. So who's going to be running the draft? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's the coaches are.
Yep. Kevin O'Connell will be. Yep.
That's right. And not saying that they don't know how to evaluate, but they're just getting into the scope of things now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really
been doing it since August.
Yeah, exactly. It's really time consuming to do good scouting, and so if Kevin O'Connell is going to be ahead of that draft, he's got a lot of work. Talk about won't see your family for a while. He's not going to see them until May, June.
Well, yeah, because all the stuff that their GM was doing. Somebody's got to assume that role as far as the personnel thing.
Right.
And it's just going to be really, really interesting to see how they in fact pick. And I don't care if it's the flavor of the month pick. Oh, they got a great, because we've all seen how that goes. Mm-hmm. What looks like a good pick turned out to be a dud.
Yeah.
And what looks like a dud turned out to be a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, where they take the players. Did they take them where, you think they should go, or did they reach, that type of thing?
Right, indeed. And I would just like to add Brad Biggs. I pay for the Chicago Tribune just so I have access to
Biggs
Brad's. He really, really is. So if you want to stay in tune with a lot of stuff, and a good opinion too that he shares from time to time on stuff, Chicago Tribune, The Athletic are my 2 go-to places. I like reading Courtney Cronin's work over at ESPN.
I think Biggs and her are the best 2 beat reporters the Bears have.
Yep, indeed. Those are the top three. And then, a place like BearsWire.com where Alyssa Barbieri works, they do a good job of aggregating a lot of stuff, and they'll sometimes provide a link to the original article. So if you don't have a lot of time, go to BearsWire.com, read some of those articles. They do a good job of keeping Bears fans in tune with what's going on. All right, let us get to another question here. So Joe asked a really good question here, Greg. How bad is nepotism in the NFL? We've seen some of it, perhaps, but what are your thoughts?
I got to be honest. From my viewpoint of where I've worked, I've seen one instance of nepotism at a team I worked for. And actually it was, later on in my time here, Lovey hired his son as the assistant DB coach.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. So aside from that, I haven't been privy to it. There are coaches that do hire their kids. You better think your kid's pretty good if you're going to hire them. Now, okay, the last guy to get a job, and our good friend Rick Smith had him. Clint Kubiak got the Raiders job yesterday. Won't be official the next week, but it's done deal.
Okay.
That whole family is, the dad was the head coach. All the kids are coaches, so would you want to, if you were the dad, would you want to hire the kids? Damn right, they're good coaches.
Right. And here's the thing, Greg, is they know, those sons and daughters in some cases know how much it takes to be good at the job. It takes
they never saw their dad when they were little.
That's right. Dad taught us by example. He was never home.
Leader by example, literally.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of nepotism, but in some cases, it really, really, really works.
No, it happens in personnel a little. I don't think a lot. I have seen cases where it does happen. I just haven't been privy to it. Where, first of all, I had girls and they were too young. I wasn't going to hire them. And, Jerry didn't have any sons. Nobody in New York when I was there, and I was there for 17 and a half years, nobody brought their kids in.
Chris Watts says, if me and my dad worked together, one of us wouldn't get out of the room alive. I hear you, Chris. That could be tough for some people. All right, good stuff. And one thing that was interesting is Don Shula's son, who is the defensive coordinator over at the Rams. He interviewed for a head coaching job. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but there was an NFL insider who claimed that the interview for Shula went terribly. He just did not interview well, which is something happens to a lot of candidates, whether they're the sons of great coaches or not. But it's interesting that somebody who comes from the Shula family wouldn't come into a job interview totally aware of all the possible questions and to present him or herself in a great light. Do you think that was strange, if the reports are true?
Well, it's kind of ambiguous, and I'm not throwing any dirt on the report, but it's kind of ambiguous. Is a poor interview according to who?
Yeah, they never named the source, right?
Yeah, so supposedly Brian Daboll, before he got the Giants job, interviewed for a bunch of head coaching jobs and didn't get them, and supposedly didn't interview good. Well, okay, it's an ambiguous statement, and why didn't he? Could it be? It could be a whole variety of different reasons.
Yeah.
Because they ask you so many different questions. That they're asking you about what you want to run offensively, what you want to run defensively, who your assistant coaches are going to be, what your relationship's supposed to be with the with the general manager? What's your relationship supposed to be with ownership? I mean, these interviews aren't, now the way they set it up, you can have up to like an hour and a half or 2 hours on that original Zoom interview.
Right.
And then when you bring it in and, to do it in face, it's more like a 3, 4, 5 hour thing. I mean, I know Jerry went down. Now, Jerry worked with Saban. He's known Saban. They were both on the Syracuse staff when they came out of college and they got into coaching. So they've been buddies going back to the early 70s when they got out of college. And what happened the year we hired Lovey, Jerry and I were out at the East West. So we were staying at the Airport Marriott at San Francisco. And in the afternoon and night after the practice was on, Jerry was interviewing guys that nobody knew of. And, I was in for, I was never in for a full interview, but for part of it. Okay. And the guys we talked to never got out, never released. The Bears just interviewed so-and-so and so-and-so for the head coaching job. Then he left there and he flew to Baton Rouge because Nick Saban was the head coach at LSU at the time. And he was there for 2.5 days.
That and in the corporate world, I've read leadership books and so forth. Some of the top organizations, when they're looking for CEOs, vice presidents of companies and stuff, they take a similar route. Spend as much time with this candidate as over, see him in a social situation, see him here, see him there. And I think that's a really good method. It's time consuming, of course, but if you're going to make a big hire and pay somebody millions of dollars to lead your football operations, your coaching or something, that to me makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah. And the money you are spending now on a head coach. Look at what Ben got last year.
Yeah. What is it? 15 million?
No, I think it was 13 or 14 to start.
Wow. Okay. Got some more questions here to get to. Let us go to you talked a little bit about Lee Hunter already. And do you think he's a first rounder after his game at the Senior Bowl? His week, really, because he played.
Okay, that's a good question. So here's what happens. The guy looks great at the Senior Bowl. And you got your report. Now, a lot of teams, like right now, we're into February. A lot of teams are just starting their meetings right now. Might have started them today. And they'll go right up to the combine or right before the combine. And they'll set their preliminary, a semifinal board, say. Okay, and you do it by position. You don't do it in order. You go like, okay, now we're going to do the defensive tackles. You do them top to bottom defensive tackles. Then you do the defensive ends. Then you do the linebackers, whatever. And so you're going to say, God, that guy looked really good. But then you go back and you got the reports. So let's say you got 3 or 4 reports from scouts during the year, and the reports say something different. So now what are you going to put on the guy? You're going to put a first-round grade out because he looked good in some one-on-one drills, but no report. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have first-round grades. I'm just saying, this is all hypothetical. So you got to mix them. And then if you see something at the game and you go, wait a minute, but he showed this, this, and this, and the tape says this. To me, that's red flag to watch more tape. And go from there and then you're going to get the coach involved because you get done with these meetings, and as soon as these meetings are done, you're assigning the coaches players. Now you're not going to give 25 players to a coach. Okay, maybe you're going to give them 15, 16, something like that. And these are the guys we want you to do, and you want them to rank them, grade them. Are they fits for what we're trying to do, that type of thing. Hopefully you're already giving them guys that are what the scouting department deems as a fit. Because why waste his time with somebody who's not, that there's no way you're going to take to begin with. So, you do that, and then his opinion comes in. The coordinator will do a report. Maybe the head coach will do a report. And you're going to get all that together. And then when you have your final meetings in April, this is when you slap it all together and say, and you've had interviews, you had a private workout, maybe all this stuff. You put it all together and say, okay, this is where we think we can take this guy. You got to turn on your mic, though. Might help.
Yeah, microphones are very useful for so it's a detailed process, and for the most part, every team follows that process with some adjustments, right? Yeah. Okay. So Kay asked an interesting question. He says, Greg, isn't scouting like 90% film and 10% the Senior Bowl?
Yeah. Like I say, if you see a discrepancy now. If a guy looks great on tape and looks terrible in an all-star game, what did I say maybe a half hour ago? The one rule of thumb is don't kill him.
Right.
Because, what were the circumstances? How long's it been since he played? What kind of condition was he in? Is he coming off an injury? Whatever. And most agents won't, if the guy's coming off an injury, an agent won't let him play. But the reason you want to do that is you don't want to have somebody have that sour taste in their mouth for a guy that all year proved to be a pretty damn good player.
Yeah. Let me take that a step further, and
Okay.
maybe you can adjust the percentages, because I see it as the tape, getting personal information on the player, postseason bowl games where you see a whole week of practice, and the Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl or whatever.
And you're also, when you're going to that too, Aldo, you're going to, because you can interview a lot of these guys.
Right.
And
then
can spend
also
some quality time with them.
And I would imagine that the lowest of all those steps is the combine.
Well, the combine, we've talked about that 1,000 times. First and foremost is the medical.
Okay, that's important.
And
That's super important.
I mean, there's guys that you think are perfect, and you go to the combine, and then the doctors go, nope, he's got this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And, for whatever reason. You've got the interview. The interviews are 20 minutes. I mean, you can't learn you get an opinion, but it's not the opinion because it's only 20 minutes. What are you barking at now?
Whoever he's barking at, the guy's not going to be an intruder.
That's right. So then, you got the workout, and as I've said before, okay, you're gonna have amongst fans and not the top draft nicks like DJ or Dane or something like that.
Okay.
But with the fans, they're gonna go, oh my God, you got to get this guy in the first round. He just ran 4.38.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down. You get, we call it like a combine bump or Senior Bowl bump or something like that.
Right.
And then you go back and the draft's 2 months later and they go where you thought they were going to go originally. That little bump doesn't really do anything. So you just got to be careful that when guys go to the combine, you expect them to do good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They've been training for, say, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, getting ready for a particular workout. They're practicing all those drills. They're learning how to start better so they can run good in the 40. It's the last time in their life they're going to have to run a 40 unless they run at their pro day. So they know how important it is, so they're geared for it. So we expect it to be good. When it's not good, that's the red flag.
Okay.
But now the good news is Devin Hester was one of these guys. Devin ran in the 4.4s. Now, ordinarily, you say, oh, that's pretty good, but you expected a lot better. Okay.
You expect the 4.3 out of him?
Yeah. So Miami back then used to have one of the earlier pro days, and I went to that. In Miami, then they didn't even have an indoor facility, and they did their pro day on the practice field, which was Bermuda grass. And Devin runs like a 4.33 and a 4.34 on Bermuda grass. So I come back. There goes, what do you run? I said 4.33. Yeah, but that's fast grass. I just started laughing. I go, wait a minute. Grass is the slowest surface.
That's right.
And he ran on grass, and you're going to say it's fast grass?
Fast grass. I used to smoke fast grass. Anyway, going on to a different topic here. All right, so we're getting some questions about the safety position.
Wait, I wanted to go back. So anyway, if a guy has a subpar combine, he can do stuff at the pro day and make up for it. You're going to take, if he does better at the pro day, you're going to go with that stuff. Because he could, I mean, take a track athlete. Does the top sprinters in the world run 9.96 every time he goes out and runs 100 meters? Doesn't happen. You know, so they can vary by a couple tenths. I mean, they could go 10.2 one day and 9.97 another day. You know, and so you got to take that. Sometimes you're looking for a range. Okay, he ran this at the combine, he ran this at the pro day. The guy has a outstanding combine, knocks it out of the park. No agent worth his grain of salt is going to let that guy do shit except position drills once he has his pro day. Why? Because he knows I don't want him to run worse.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt his value. Absolutely.
Yeah, so just leave it alone.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's get to the safety position. Obviously, everyone who's a Bears fan knows that the Bears are going to draft a safety. And so Flex says, or asks, how would you address that safety position in the Bears offseason? And then, as an addendum to that, J2K says that Dylan Thieneman is often mocked to the Bears. I watched.
He's been mocked by
Daniel Jeremiah. Yeah, I watched this Minnesota All 22 tape, and I was unimpressed. I think he's
at Oregon, not Minnesota.
Is he? Let me double check that. Yeah, you're right, Oregon, absolutely. But did they play Minnesota? Maybe that's what he means.
Well, they're both Big Ten teams. They may have.
Versus Minnesota, J2K.
Another guy, let me write these down and send me a thing. I've got reports on some of these guys. I got him. I got Caleb Banks from last summer.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll send you a list of. So again, people.
If I wrote them, I know I wrote Thieneman. I know I liked him. There's a safety down at Texas I did that I really liked too. What kind of grade? I don't know. I'll say it this way. For a safety to go in the first 2 rounds, because it's not a high priority draft position, they got to be special.
Yeah.
Okay, so technically, given the value of position of other things, you can, excuse me, lack of a better term, steal a guy. In other words, get him lower than his actual value because of the position he plays.
Okay, that makes sense. And you know, when you look at salaries in the NFL, safety outside of special teamers, safety is the lowest capital investment from a position group. And so you can, like you said, get good value if you go free agency, or a lot of top safeties will fall to day 2, maybe even day 3. So drafting one in the first round, when I saw that from Daniel Jeremiah, I was flummoxed. I'm like,
and he had him as the first safety coming off the board.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
So, yeah, well, it could, but okay, look, perfect example. Last year, a lot of people and mocks had, if I'm saying his name right, Emmanuel Wari from South Carolina going in the first round. He didn't go in the first. He went in the second. Went to Seattle.
Right.
And, you know, I forgot what pick in the second, but it wasn't in the top 5 or 8. I know that. So he went lower than what a lot of people had anticipated. What did he play like so far this year? Like a fucking first rounder. Okay, so but he's a perfect example of safeties you can get value picks on because they get underdrafted instead of overdrafted.
Right, exactly. I agree with that. Kay is saying that Caleb Downs is hands down, no pun intended, the first safety drafted. That's pretty much a no-brainer. But is he a top 10 pick?
Yes, right. I forgot about Caleb Downs.
I don't think
How
so.
how many safeties go in the top 10? If you go back to say and look at the last 10 drafts, like Hamilton, the Ravens took Hamilton, but he wasn't a top 10.
Yeah, Jets took Adams, I think at 4.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago.
That was 2017. Yeah,
was it 17?
I'm pretty sure
that.
That was the Trubisky draft.
I'll give you some trivia on that. His father was George Adams, and running back from Kentucky.
Second president of the United States? No, I'm just kidding.
George Adams, running back, Kentucky. When I was with the Giants, my first draft with the Giants, he was our first round pick.
How about that? Pretty cool.
And then he got hurt. He had what they call necrosis or something on his hip.
Uh-huh.
And it's the same injury that Bo Jackson had.
Oh, that's awful.
And ended his career. Pretty much ended his career.
It is awful. Awful. They should give comp picks for players that get hurt. You drafted in the first round and they get hurt, never play. That's a good reason to give somebody a comp.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example because it takes some hits. We took, I don't know, maybe 08, 09, something like that, a defensive end from Central Michigan in the second round. Productive as hell at Central Michigan. He's at rookie minicamp. The week after the draft, he tears up his knee.
Oh, ouch.
Tore it up. And was never a player after that.
That is crazy.
So, people, it was an awful pick. No, it was a great pick when we took it.
Yeah.
He shredded his knee in rookie minicamp.
All right, Waitster asks, what is Greg's take on all the noise around trading DJ Moore, and which current players, in your opinion, most likely will not return?
You know what? I'm taking the approach of they're going to do whatever the hell they want, and I don't care what it is because they were doing a pretty good job. Last year, and I got a note to self. I'm going to read it to you, and I know I read it with Swifty, and I probably did here too. Let me find it.
Swifty, by the way, is the Swift Sports Network. You should be a subscriber to their YouTube channel. They have almost daily reports on what's happening with the Chicago Bears. And Greg is with Swifty on Fridays, usually early after.
Every other Friday. So
every other Friday. Excuse me.
Yeah. Come on, where's this note?
So it's really, really good stuff. Anytime Greg is on.
Anyway, I can't. I put it in my notes here, but it's basically said when talking about the 2026 draft, refer to the 2025 draft and all the BS that was going on between now and the draft that the Bears were going to supposedly do, and throw it out the window. People put stuff out as if it's fact. Prime example is the guy the night before the draft or the afternoon before the draft puts out a thing. The Bears have a deal in place to move up and take Genty. Really?
I remember that.
So everybody's looking for the thing. What's going to happen? Don't believe anything you have. People make up stuff. They do it for hits. They do it for clicks. They do it to get followers. 90% of the time, there's one guy who's probably off X now. He had the one thing, Carson Wentz is signing with the Bears tomorrow. It's a done deal. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Has he ever signed with the Bears? Ever?
These are just people throwing shit at throwing darts.
Right.
And if they're right, if they happen to guess right, they're an insider all of a sudden.
Right. There's so much of the stuff that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Don't believe a word of it unless it comes from Schefter, Rappaport, guys like that. Schultz is gotten a little better. Unless it's coming from them, it ain't true.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. No guy down at Illinois, University of Illinois, who likes to do that stuff. Mm-hmm. He's got the account polls as him on X. They just make stuff up.
Our buddy Brandon sends a $5 donation. He says, Aldo and Greg are my guys. Have a great day. Swifty, he's getting him a hoodie just like he got us a hoodie. Brandon, you should start selling those. Can't wait to catch the show later. Brandon, of course, is on his way. He does such great work helping people with addiction issues. He's our guy. We really love him, and he's a great supporter of the Barroom Network.
Yes,
really appreciate it. All right, I got a ton of more questions here. But I want to take the safety position. One more point that I'd like to make and get your opinion on it. I think that the safety position, now, while I would avoid drafting one in the first round, I think a day 2 selection on the safety, early day 2, is a good investment. Now, of course, the player has to earn that. I'm not saying just take.
You're not going to overdraft the guy.
Exactly.
If he lines up on your board with where you are picking,
right, exactly.
By all means.
And so if he has those traits that are valuable today for a safety, a guy that can help out immensely in the run game, so that you can play dime packages and not get burned by the run game.
But here, let's slow up a little bit.
Sure.
Let's go back.
Okay.
There's a process. One thing at a time. First, we're going to go through free agency.
Yes.
In another 5 weeks. We can start signing guys, make deals with guys on March 11th. So that's like, just 5 weeks away. In fact, it is 5 weeks from today, I think, is the day you
look
can.
At that.
Because there's only 28 days in February.
Can't wait.
You're going to start seeing guys. Number one, who are they going to lose? Because you're going to lose guys that day. Who are they going to gain? Had they made any trades? You can't make a trade. You can make a trade before that, but it doesn't become official until the 13th, which is a Wednesday, Wednesday, March 13th. So then, if you get into the draft on, I think it's the 24th or something this year, then now you don't have any safeties.
Right.
Okay, now you're gonna start addressing that, and they're excuse me. Why don't you put me on mute for a second?
You got it, sir. All right, Greg took a little medicine earlier today, and he warned me he might have to cough a couple of times. So that's
I'm good.
He's back. All right, excellent.
So
go ahead.
But anyway, we get into the draft. We get into March. The Bears brass are going to know what they need after the first few days of free agency.
Yep.
As far as the draft, and they'll adjust accordingly.
All right. So if, let's say, not necessarily safety, but if they see a position in the draft not being as strong as in other years, could they then put more of an urgency? Will they then put more of an urgency in acquiring a free agent? So if they don't like the draft crop of safeties, could they now say, well, let's pay this free agent as much as we can because we're not.
Then why wouldn't you bring back Brisker? Or why wouldn't you? Okay. Or why wouldn't you? They're on record as saying they want to bring the one guy back.
Yeah, Byard.
And so if that's the case, if you're going to go out and buy one and pay him whatever it takes, so why aren't you bringing back Brisker?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree with that. I agree. Now, Brisker, unlikely, but Brisker might get a very attractive offer that the Bears can't match because he led the league in interceptions, and a team might want that veteran leadership in a ball hawk.
Brisker didn't.
Excuse me, I meant Byard.
Right. Byard, at his age, Not going to say he's going to take a hometown discount,
Mm-hmm.
but he's been here a couple of years. He knows his value here. He knows he's probably only got a couple of years left. And he probably would like to get to the playoffs or maybe to the promised land or whatever. And so, he might not be, and he'll have this talk with his agent. He might not be chasing money given those circumstances.
Okay. Very good. Let's move on to the next question here. Good stuff, man. I love the offseason. People say, what are you talking about during the offseason? We got plenty.
That's all the fun is.
Exactly. I'm with you. All right. People want to know your take on TJ Parker out of Clemson. I understand that he had a pretty good Senior Bowl week.
Yeah, he's good. I'll tell you, the two guys I like better for their overall game.
Great.
Zion Young from Mizzou is a pretty good player.
Yeah, he had a good week.
And but his tape is good too.
Excellent.
And the guy that's really starting to grow now, I don't see anybody put him in the first round, but I have a feeling he's going to really work out well. And you're going to see his name jump a little bit because not only did he play good during the year, but not only did he play good at the Senior Bowl, but he played good during the year in a scheme that wasn't necessarily drawn up to make him look great because he dropped into coverage a lot. And that player is Gabe Jackas from Illinois.
Oh, you mentioned his name once before I went and started looking at some tape. Pretty impressive.
He will drop at times at Illinois instead of rushing the passer. But, certain traits that I look for in a pass rusher, his length is okay. He had 32 3/4 at the Senior Bowl, which means he could be 33 1/4, 33 1/2 at the combine, because we've said that before. These things are never, the only time you can take it as exact is at the combine with the arm measurement, but he had decent arm length. I have a feeling he's going to run better than people anticipated. And if in fact he does run better, it wouldn't shock. I'm not at the point where I say he's the first. I think he's a solid 2, but he might be one of those guys you say is 25 to 40. So you go anywhere in that range.
That would be nice.
But I think a lot will depend if he runs 4.70 or better.
Ooh, jump on him.
I think that's because he's a bigger guy. He's 265. Wait a minute, I got his measurements here. I'll tell you.
Okay.
I got the Senior Bowl measurables here.
Yep.
Let me get
anyone in the chat seen tape of Gabe and want to share their opinion? I'll post it up on the screen. So J2K says that the NFL version of Dio isn't good. College versus Dale was good. But
I'm going to say this about Dale again. Fans don't like Dale. Coaching staff loves him. So Zion was 605. No, Zion Young, 605, 262, 33 1/2 inch. Now, what was Gabe Jackas? 603, 260. 32 3/4 inch arms. So I just think he had the bend, he had the lean, he had the hand use, the way he came off the ball. And he's a tough physical guy. He plays the run good, and Zion Young does too. Zion Young is a complete player, not just a guy who can come off the edge. So those guys are interesting guys. Like I say, I'm not ready to put Gabe in that bottom of the first area yet.
Okay.
I want to see what he does with the combine, but interesting guy.
So
but I still think that DT, I know for the fans, edge is important. And I'll go back why it could be second to the Bears.
I was just going to ask you that question. Go ahead.
Okay. You got Montez back. Booker's only going to keep getting better. This theoretically should have been his rookie year because he left. He had 2 more years of eligibility left.
Yeah.
And everybody thought he was going to play, the 24 season at Kansas, and he came out and said, He's going to get bigger. He already is pretty darn strong. And, you know, he may never be a double-digit guy, but he could be an 8 to 10 guy, you know, I think without question on a consistent basis. Now you got Turner, who you drafted in the second round, that they wanted as a 3, but they decided to move outside. And he was playing outside of 290, which is too big for him. He has played outside. As last year they put him inside. Before that, he was playing outside at A&M in a different type of scheme. So you got him, and you got Doyle. So that's 4 people right there. Doyle is a guy who can do both.
Right.
He can pass rush inside and play end. See, one of the things people go, they just look at the sack numbers. Look at the run defense numbers when he was playing versus when he wasn't playing. And the defense against the run was a lot better when he was playing. And that's one of the reasons the coaching staff really likes him.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's 4 guys. Okay, how many are you going to keep? 4. But Dio is a guy. He's a swing guy. So could he be your 5th? And then you draft you draft another guy and go with 9 defensive linemen. You have four defensive tackles. You know, I think they're gonna make some changes at defensive tackle.
I think they have to because, Jervon is on the last year of his contract.
Going into the last year, right?
Going into the last year. And Grady Jarrett has 1 more year left. I wouldn't expect much more out of his motor.
And Billings is out of contract. They don't pay Billings a thing.
Yeah. They only bring back Billings if they can't find a nose tackle. And I think this is a decent year for nose tackles in this draft.
But he only makes $3 million.
Yeah, that is true. And
he is worth every penny of it.
He really is. I mean, a lot of fans are down on
Billings.
Billings.
That, you don't have much.
I totally agree. Totally agree with that. All right, let's get to some more questions here. This is an interesting question from AKW467. He asks, did you ever look at outside sources when you are when you're scouting for a team as a benchmark? So I remember when I was growing up watching football, Blusto, everybody subscribed to Blusto. Bears, Lions, Eagles.
Blusto means Bears, Lions, Eagles, Steelers, still an organization.
Yeah, but
there's 2 services.
Okay.
National Scouting and Blusto.
Okay.
A team is a member of one or the other.
Can't be both, huh?
No, you can't be both. You supply a scout. One of your young scouts is like Teddy Monago. When we hired Teddy Monago, he was our Blusto scout. So the work he did was for Blusto and went to all the teams. Not only went to us, but went to all the teams in Blusto. And that's the same throughout the league. I thought National was better. We pulled out of Blusto, went into National, but we had to get the okay from Mrs. McCaskey to do that because in Blusto, it's Bears, Lions, Eagles, Steelers.
Yeah.
Bears are one of the things. And she, true story. She goes, does that mean the B comes out of Blusto?
I love it.
So,
and it didn't.
No, it didn't. But both of them, all they are is starting points. Generally speaking, the combine scouts, the service scouts, are new, inexperienced scouts.
Gotcha.
Okay, so they're doing the work. You don't want to have your best guys doing the service stuff and getting real strong opinions. So you take it with a grain of salt. Okay, I'll get one service. Had the Penn State running back who had a great, named Singleton, who had a great 2024 year. as the third best player in the country going into this season.
Yes.
That dude ain't even going in the first 2 days
Yeah.
this year. His game fell off. In fact, I asked DJ, I said, what do you think? I sent him a text. I said, this guy was looked at as easily a first rounder off his 24 tape. And then his own teammate beat him out and became the number one guy. They were a duo, just like Notre Dame had Love and Price. Well, it was, Penn State had 2 guys too, but the other guy took over for Singleton as the lead guy and just far surpassed him. And he thought opportunity could go late 3, but probably more like the 4th. But still a long way to go. I think if you got him in the 4th, it's a steal based on what he was in 24. This guy was, he can run. He's a big back with power. He catches the ball good. But, that's example. So you can't put too much stock in what the services have on the guy. You don't. When you get into meetings, put it this way, you're not saying, well, Blesto has him at so-and-so or National has him at so-and-so.
Yeah.
You're just not doing that, so.
Another player who you can sort of say had the similar experience to Singleton is Jaden Ott, a small, very fast, very quick running back, played at the Senior Bowl, had an excellent week, really played well in the Senior Bowl, but I guess he was at Oklahoma and then transferred out, and his season at this last school, he only got like 300 yards rushing. It was a major disappointment, but now in the postseason, he's playing at a level where people are saying, well, maybe we have to ask more questions. What happened last season? Why the big drop-off?
That happens a lot, especially in situations like that, where you got to go back and say, wait, and you can use Singleton again. Singleton looked like a bona fide first-round pick in 24. And then this year, his own guy surpassed him.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And he's now, I forgot who his replacement is. I'm sure somebody in the chat can help us out. But that player now is looked at as a potential 2nd rounder, maybe 3rd rounder, given how he played. All right. We got more questions, and we've got probably another 10, 15 minutes to go. If that's okay with Greg. Let's go to, we were talking about Penn State. I love that Penn State safety. And Greg, if Misador from Miami falls, do we go get him? If Caleb Downs hits 25, we make that happen.
Downs isn't going to get to 25 unless he works out really poorly.
Yeah, it runs a 4.6.
The Misador is an interesting guy. These guys, Misador and Bain, were supposed to go to the Senior Bowl. They didn't go. Doesn't surprise me that they didn't, because they played late into they played all the way to the national championship. What are their real measurables? We don't know. What's her arm length, etc. Because arm length is important for edge players. And it's going to be important for Bain, because everybody says Bain has short arms. Well, he looks like he has short arms, but does he have short arms? He's got real bulky arms. To me, he's an undersized 3 technique. Every time I look at the body and go, that's a 3. Put some weight on him and put it at 3, but he's always played outside. He's real strong. He's highly competitive. We got to see that stuff. Messador is a good player, but Messador going in did not have the notoriety that he has now, and that's not unusual. You have a real good final year, and that's when you want to have a good final year.
J2K, you're right. I do hate him. Anyway, moving on. Next question. This is another good question from our buddy Levante. Do you foresee there being a possibility of the Bears trading out of 25 to accumulate more picks? Is this the kind of draft? Is this the kind of draft that you would do that?
Go up too.
Okay.
It's if they're eyeballing a certain player and they don't think they got a shot to get him at 25, you go up.
Okay.
This is a draft for them, depending on what happens in free agency, what you lose, what you gain. They could be, hey, we want to come out of here with 3 really good players or something like that. Okay, so then it could be a situation where you move up to go get a guy. Or it could be the other way. We'll get out of the first. We're going to get, if we trade down to 35 or 34, we might even get the same player. And value-wise as a player, it's going to be about the same. So it wouldn't shock me. And what are you going to get for that? A third.
Right, a third, yeah. I agree with that. And Kay asked a question earlier about drafting a left tackle. Now, you and I don't necessarily agree on that, but let's talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, I think that anybody thinks they're going to take a left tackle high is smoking really bad dope.
Well, what about, there could be a player at the left tackle position that Ryan Poles will say, all right, we don't have to worry about the left tackle position for another 10 years. This guy is so
We already got that guy, though. His name's Ozzie Trapillo.
But what if his doctors say, man, this thing didn't look too good?
You're throwing the hypotheticals out.
No, but that could happen, though.
Theoretically, and you're going to know that. They might already know that. Okay.
Right.
But based on what we do know now, and best case scenario is 6 months, which is right before camp opens.
Right.
Okay. Worst case scenario is he goes on PUP for 6 weeks and misses 6 games. Okay. You played Theo there for 5 or 6 games last year, and you won every single one of them. Correct?
Yep, he did.
Okay.
He did, right.
You got Thune you can put out there for a few games if you want to. You've got Amagaji coming off IR, who you can put there. I just think, and especially when you got a second round invested in Ozzie, that they like, you're not going to take a guy to take his job because what are you going to do with him when he's ready? And he could theoretically, they're going to know in the draft more than they're going to know right now. It's, he's going to be 3 months more into rehab.
Right. Well, question for you. They already performed the surgery. So is there a chance, you know a lot more about medical stuff and knees and all that than anybody around who does this for a living, evaluating players. Is there a chance the doctors could have seen something when they were repairing that patella tendon that could say, you know what, he might not be ready until late in 2026, if that? Is there that possibility?
Yeah, anything is possible.
Yeah, because it could be shredded.
No, it was they would have done an MRI right after.
Okay.
The next day.
Yeah.
And then, the MRI would have said if there was anything else torn up or was it strictly the patella tendon. He walked off the field.
He did. He hopped off the field.
Yeah, but then he was walking after that. So a tendon, generally what you got to do with the tendon, and patella tendon, one of the bigger tendons, it's bigger than the Achilles, one of the bigger tendons in the body.
Wow.
You take the 2 ends and sew it together.
Yeah.
Now they used to have a procedure, and I'm not sure if they do this with the patella, they do it with the Achilles. And it really improved and lessened the rehab process. They used to do then this goes, even 15 years ago, when you tore the Achilles, a mop, picture a mop. That's what a torn tendon looks like. The end of a tendon looks like a mop with all those strands.
Gotcha.
Okay. So they used to cut off those strands on both ends of the, because it shreds on both sides there. So you cut off and then you pull the tendon together and you sew it up. Okay. And that's what made an Achilles tendon so hard to come back. Not hard, just long, because you're stretching out that tendon. There's just doing a lot of stuff to it that just slows recovery. Well, so some doctors go, wait a minute, maybe it's better to take the two strands or mops and put them together like this.
So
And they sew through it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you're not shortening the tendon.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out it comes back stronger than the original.
Pretty awesome.
Okay, and the rehab time, there's guys that are playing inside of 3 months, or not 3 months, inside of 6 months. And I go back to Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles first game with the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Before the season was over,
mm-hmm.
he was, they were debating whether they should activate him or not.
Right.
Because he was already doing stuff, full go.
Interesting. Let me ask this.
Now, can they do that same excuse me, with the patella? I'd have to ask one of my orthopedic friends.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can do it with one, why can't you do it with another?
Right. Josh Simmons had the same injury, right?
Right. And he had a little earlier, but and missed no training camp.
About 4 games, 6 games into the college.
He did it the end of October, I think.
Okay.
So, but he was full. He was go before camp. He was ready to go and taking full training camp. But everybody, everybody is different. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. How do they attack first, how was the surgery? Was there any complications? Right. Do you have scar tissue buildup or whatever? Do you have to manipulate it after the surgery because of scar tissue buildup? And then how does he attack rehab? It's painful. Okay. Yeah. And any type of rehab is generally painful. Knowing Ozzy, what we've seen is he's the type of guy that is going to attack it.
Mm-hmm.
He might be the type of guy, like they said with Roma Dunze. We got to sit him down for his own good because he's going to try to do too much. Yep. Well, Ozzy, I get the feeling that Ozzy is the same type of guy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, until somebody says there's a problem,
mm-hmm.
I just can't. I know what some of the pundits say. I just can't see it because now you just wasted a 2nd round pick last year that you think highly of.
Good follow-up question here from STC Scott. Is there any hope for Braxton? He's a free agent, obviously. Do you think the Bears might say, well, you know what? He's been rehabbing. He's playing well. Let's see if we can get him inked up for a couple of years.
Well, they did bring him back for the playoff game, but he wasn't even active.
Yeah.
I'll say it this way. He's going to be a free agent. He's going to get a shot at the cookie jar. And if he reaches in and comes out with a big block full of cookies, he's going with that. If he's got nothing, do you get him, a 1-year deal real cheap to be another insurance policy? Sure. But I don't think they're going to fret at anything. If somebody wants to give him $7, $8, $9 million, they're going to say, see you later.
Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of your career. All right, there is a guy that I looked at this week and really enjoyed his Senior Bowl practice tape. I haven't looked at his tape over in college, and that's Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker. The word is he's outstanding at takeaways, interceptions. He's got a great peanut punch. To me, he seems like the type of linebacker Dennis Allen would like, although he doesn't have the length of a Tremaine Edmonds, and I know Dennis Allen has spoken glowingly about Edmonds' length. This is Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah, I know. I want to see. I did him, and he's really, really instinctive.
Yeah, he's like.
Let me just see what his size was.
It's probably a 2nd rounder.
He's got to run. Okay, he's 6'1" and an eighth, 233, 31.5-inch arms, which is okay on a 6'1" guy. You'd like a little longer, but it's not going to kill him. How fast is he going to run? I got a report. That's another one I got to pull out because I put an estimated speed on based on what I see.
Okay, that's cool.
I did him probably middle of the season. He's really good. There's no question. And one of the most instinctive linebackers you'll see in this draft. And that's, in my opinion, linebackers got to be instinctive.
Yep.
I when I write them up, I write them either as there are anticipators or reactors. Okay, an anticipator is a guy, he's reacting to it before he even sees it, because of the strong instinct. The reactor is see the play at, it's going there. So you're like a step late.
Yep.
Step and a half late, and he's an anticipator.
I'm trying to think of the Bears linebacker that played up until the 2024 season. The Bears did not re-sign him, who was like, Sanborn. Sanborn was a good anticipator, wasn't he?
Yeah, very, very instinctive, but couldn't run worth the beans.
He was slow as ass.
And that's why, like last year, Ryan said, I got to get more speed at that position.
Yeah.
So if this guy runs 4.7, it ain't happening.
Yep. All right, I've saved some of the questions that you had about players, and I will share those with Greg, and we'll talk about them either next week or a future show. I want to spend the last few minutes that we have with Greg to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl game, the Seattle Seahawks, and the New England Patriots. I truly believe, Greg, that you are going to pick Seattle to throttle the Patriots. Am I right or am I wrong?
I don't know if they're going to throttle them. I think they're going to win.
Okay.
Vrabel's a good coach, so he's going to have those guys ready to play.
Yeah. He is a good coach.
Probably the least anticipated Super Bowl that I can remember.
Really?
I don't even care if I watch it.
Why?
Because it's like a boring game coming out. Seattle,
you think it's going to?
New England.
Because you just don't care for the franchises? I mean, a lot of people.
I think, if some teams got a little lucky, they'd create a better Super Bowl. I just don't like the matchup.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I to me, they're both boring teams.
Yeah. Sam Darnold winning a Super Bowl.
I'll tell you what, if anybody needs the pat on the back, it's that guy.
Oh yeah, he's worked hard.
Now he played good a year ago too down in Minnesota, and I'll tell you, I guarantee you that's one of the reasons Quasi got fired the other day.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that, why you think he might have gotten fired. So yeah, you think
I saw some stuff today, like he took a 2-week leave of absence, maternity leave, when he had a kid.
Yes.
I missed the birth of both of my kids.
Yeah. It's a different
I couldn't get home in time.
Yeah. And
then I was home for they're both born in the middle of football season, one September 1st, the other October 12th. It's like, hey man, you better get my job, I got to do.
Yeah. It's that's why you make so much money. I mean, I'm not saying that you made I don't know how much money you make, but as a general manager of the team, you sacrifice. I know when I worked in corporate America, there were things I did not want to do. I'm saying, man, this is family time and stuff, but they were paying me the kind of money that I had to say, yeah, I got to do this because I can't afford to lose this job with what they're paying me, those idiots.
Now, I'm going to say I didn't purposely miss. I tried to get home. I couldn't get home.
I hear you.
I couldn't get home as
I hear you.
You can't slow up the process. I got the call and I was like, okay, I'll be there as soon as I can.
Yeah, I hear
you. Both times I was late.
Yeah. But getting to this game, do you think that somebody just posted, I hate to see Drake May win a Super Bowl before Caleb Williams. I think the stage is going to be too big for this kid. He's played well. There's no doubt. He might be the MVP of the league. But I just think that a lot of the opponents he faced did not have great defenses. When he played in the playoffs, he didn't exactly light it up.
No.
So I think
It never
Seattle's
was a different game in the playoffs.
yeah, I think Seattle's defense is going to confound him.
I don't disagree with you. I would think Seattle's going to win this game. I'd be surprised if they don't win it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Me too. So, are you going to watch it?
Oh, I'm going to watch it, but am I excited to see it? I
Yeah,
can't wait until Sunday to get to the game. Oh yeah, no, the game just starts in a half hour. I guess I'll watch it. That's the feeling I have.
Yeah, you might be more interested.
A lot of them, I'm like geared up to watch them.
Yeah.
This is the first time I can probably ever that I've ever been. Yeah, big deal.
Do you think, as someone who supports the Bears and stuff, do you think that we Bears fans and people who work for the Bears can learn something about developing a Super Bowl contender by watching the game? Because I think there could be. Mike McDonald clearly is an excellent coach to turn that franchise around in 2 years after Pete Carroll was fired.
Yeah, but Pete, it's not like Pete had a lousy.
He had a lousy last 2-3 years.
Yeah, but he had some pieces to work with.
Yes,
but see, the good thing, this is McDonald's second year, and it'll be Ben's second year. So, it's can Ben get the Bears there? If the Bears get the right pieces, there's no reason why they can't. I mean, you still got to go out and win the game. Hey, they weren't that far away this year from getting to the next game. Yep.
One badly thrown pass in the overtime because they were on their way to win that game. There's no doubt. J2K.
It's team's close.
J2K is asking, why does Aldo dislike safety Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina? And should Aldo invest in some ventilation in that basement? Are you a Kilgore fan, Greg? Have you watched this game?
I don't remember much about Kilgore. I'd have to do stuff to see.
Yeah, don't do that much. Don't waste your time. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Gabriel Talks Football. Greg, check your email in about 30, 45 minutes. I got something I'm sending you. And for those...
holy cow, we're into February.
Yeah, how about it? We're into February, and that means that the programming here on the Barroom Network continues, and Greg and I will be here every Monday. We'll have some guests. We've got Mike Renner lined up for the combine during that combine.
After the combine.
Yep.
We'll have Brugler again, too, probably, because we've had him.
Yep. Eric Edholm, Eric Alco.
Yep.
And I got a couple of names too. I was asked to try to book Ian Cunningham. Greg, I don't know if you know Ian, but Ian does phenomenal work over at Pro Football Network. I am dying to hear the two of you guys talk about draft prospects.
I don't know him.
I'll send you some stuff on him. I think you'll be impressed like I am. People are telling me that I'm effing crazy because Jalen Kilgore is the truth. Anyway, we will talk about Jalen Kilgore in a future show. Make sure you check out Buffon 55 tomorrow. Make sure you check out Bare Their Souls on Wednesday. For Greg Gabriel, I'm Aldo Gandia. Peace and love, everybody.
See you later.
Mm-hmm.